Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so potential buyers have more information about the seller and the business to help them make a buying decision. Before we dive in, let's go over a brief summary of this business. It's a service-based business created in August of 2020 in the SEO niche. The average monthly revenue for the business is $24,915 and makes an average of $11,100 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are primary domain and all site content and files, secondary domains, employee contracts, supplier relationships, social media accounts and pages, which include Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, an email list with over 400 subscribers, and as a disclaimer, a buyer will be required to either use their existing UK entity or be prepared to set one up in order to migrate the seller's Stripe and PayPal accounts. And for everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing 62149 to learn more about the business, or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So that's a brief overview of the business for sale. Let's hear from the seller with me today. So welcome to the show, Abdullah. How are you doing today?
Thanks for having me. Doing great, thanks.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your business. So to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure, yes. So I started off online, building businesses online in 2015. I used to run niche sites, back then. And so I was just monetizing with Google AdSense, standard publisher sites. And I've done pretty well with that for about 2 years. And so I had quite, a network on Facebook. And so a lot of people were saying, hey, please teach us this model, etc. So I started teaching, blogging, building courses. And sure, we sold over 8,000 units. And once we have all these people inside the course, one of the biggest problems I've, covered is that everyone needed content, right? And all these customers, struggling to buy content, either they're getting bad content online or they're getting overcharged, right? There were a lot of problems, or they're not getting it in a timely manner. So I thought to myself, this is a solid business opportunity. Done my research and validated the offer. Plus, I was quite the writer, myself. I used to write for my own sites for a while. I sold a bit of content to my customers, and then I decided in August of 2020 to develop my own writing agency. And yeah, that's kind of how I got to it.
Wow, that's awesome. I love how you went from really 3 different business models. First, from your own content sites to then selling a course about building content sites and then selling a service within that. So that's really awesome how you expanded within that ecosystem. Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this business in particular is pretty young. It's only 2 years old. So why are you deciding to sell the business instead of keeping it and growing it?
The same way, I built my sites initially and I moved on selling courses 2 years down the line. It just my attention span of working businesses tends to last 2-3 years. Plus, I'm more of the creative type, and that better suited, in me writing my own content, producing my own content, selling information, etc. And on the other hand, this agency is more systems and processes driven. So it kind of takes that from me. And so I just decided already, this is great, but I've decided now it's about time, to sell this business and, keep moving.
Yeah, the difference between building something and then operating it, those are 2 different phases within a business. And I've come to hear that pretty consistently. So yeah, understood. Okay, so your business has definitely seen significant success over just a short period of time. So what did you learn from building this business that worked for you?
I say the number one thing I've learned about and through building this business is the importance of your team, right? The importance of hiring, spending time on hiring and spending time training, employees and really, investing resources into them. And I didn't really understand that before because all the businesses I built in the past never required more than 2-3 virtual assistants, right? And in this scenario, we've gone from a team of, 0 to like 40 plus kind of individuals. And I seen this firsthand, how when we were kind of neglecting the team and we weren't investing our time into them, and we were more focused on like marketing and selling, we've seen how that affected our business. And it shows in our initial 6 months or so of numbers. And from then on, we had a whole change in hiring, the processes we kind of implemented to hire, the time we gave to our hires. And that's been the biggest game changer. It fixed everything. Revenues went up, kind of refunds completely crashed, went down, as in we just about had any refunds. And the environment in the workplace, the Slack, we operate on Slack. Sometimes it feels like we operate inside an office together, absolute kind of family environment here. And so I think creating that has been the biggest thing I've gained and, learned from this business. And, it's a core actually of this business.
Sure. And that's particularly important, I expect, for a service-based business that's made up of its team. And I think that's often not thought of when people consider either building or buying a business. They don't think about, when buying the business, the team that already potentially comes with it and how important it is to find potentially the right people to add on to the team. Some people come in and think they can just find a random VA and that will solve a lot of their operational problems and that'll just replace them. But yeah, the right team is very important. So I'm glad you touched on that. And it sounds like you talked a little bit about something that didn't work for the business. You said you ran into a little bit of little trouble in the beginning. Did you want to talk about what you tried with this business that didn't work as well?
Absolutely. I suppose it's less of a, trying thing, and it was more of kind of ignoring something, and that costs us a lot. So in our first 6 months of running the business, and I think even actually 6 months is a bit long, I would say in the first 4 months of running the business, what you'll find is in April of that year, of 2021, right? April 21, we ran a promotion to promote our kind of brand. The way the traffic and customer acquisition works for this business is through brand deals and sponsored promotions and dedicated emails, right? And so at the time, we ran this promotion and our revenues, they went insane, for what we've experienced all up till then. And, we're 4 months, we've essentially been in the game for 3 months. And, August till Jan, by the way, we were just validating and, getting testimonials and really just fine tuning the offer. And in January, we really started pushing it out and bring customers. So in that period, we're going from these kind of steady revenues. And then boom, in April, we didn't pay attention to kind of our fulfillment. We actually have to deliver this service, right? And neglected this side of the business. And so we were so focused on selling. April, May, we brought in a lot of business at the time. And then, we realized that we've oversold. So what we had to do here and now send out refunds, and not just a few. We had to send out a lot of refunds, but of course that's because we sent out an email informing these customers that we're overbooked out here, and if you would like a refund, then just shoot us a message, or if you like to hold on, then sure. And many people did, and of course naturally many people did in our hundreds. And so that was like not preparing, right? That's why sometimes I'm wary in certain months we don't push too hard on promotion, just because since service-based business and since our team, it might not be growing as fast as it should be in line in respect to our revenues and the demand, then that's something you should actually prepare for, right? It's best to build the team from the get-go and focus on that and then sell, right? And that's why in June, July of the year, we just stopped accepting business, right? And in June, July, we went and we hired a lot more people. And that's why then in August, we had a fantastic month, because we spent that time. Now we could actually fulfill this service and we could even sell more, right, with confidence. And so yeah, that was an insane experience and super valuable.
Yeah, I think that's a very valuable experience because first of all, it shows that this business, especially from the perspective of a buyer, knowing that they could sell this a bit more aggressively if they had more, maybe a bigger team or the infrastructure essentially to provide more of the service, just knowing that you are holding back a little bit to make sure that the service you're offering in its current state of high quality. And I think that's definitely a sign of wisdom to know when to not push fully on the gas pedal. I'm looking at the stats here right now, and yeah, I can see the slight dip, but looking at the months now, like your January and then your May and June, I guess they make those months last year seem much smaller based on how you're performing now. So yeah, great job pulling through that. All right. So let's talk a little bit now about the amount and type of work that you do on this business for maintenance. Can you tell me what you do maybe in the day-to-day or month-to-month?
Yeah, absolutely. On a day to day, the good thing is, we really kind of delegated the work really well between our managers, right? And we've assigned team leaders. And so these kind of things, it's like its own running system, as in an order comes in. And before, you spend a lot of time on customer communications and onboardings and, reviewing work. And this is, we're talking last year. And so this year we've employed, the managers. And so that's taken off all that load from me. So I'm really not focused on actually delivering the service anymore. That's not what I do. So I focus on finding deals, right? Reaching out to brands. That's just a fun task. I kind of sit on my phone and do actually, just reach out to brands and secure deals. And so then once we secure deals, which equals sponsored posts and such things, guest posts, etc., or sponsored videos, I spend my time creating this content and collaborating with brands and creating some deals, to grow this business. Like for the next month, for example, we've actually got two pretty big features coming in on some, high traffic sites. One's got like 1 million page views a month and one's about 75k a month. So, that's what I'm focused on. So I'm writing out this content, creating that, securing deals. And aside from that, what I do on a monthly basis, right? So this is not daily. So maybe it takes a week of a month. I will go to Upwork where we spend a lot of our, where we do most of our hiring, right? Like a lot of our employees we've actually been able to get from some Indian hiring portals that most people don't use, just because I have connections over there. But at the same time, like with Upwork, that's what I focus on, right? And that's where I find all of our writers. So once, like 1 week, every month, I'll go on Upwork, list some ads, and I'll do the initial onboarding. I assign them a task, to write. I'll review that myself. I will conduct maybe a call with this writer. A lot of times we don't need to do calls. We just onboard them in Slack and then speak with them on a team call. And kind of that's it. Like these are my main things. So hiring and marketing, right? That's what I am currently focused on in the business. And aside from that, I'm just working on some, other projects.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you have this system already set as far as your onboarding. And at this point, it's more of a kind of like a repeated process that you do as you need to scale the business.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. I mean, yeah, it's pretty actually great how it's turned out. With these managers, I used to be quite afraid of offloading this work. And, now it's been like 6 months and we've been in this position and, you feel the load come off, and I've been able to focus a lot more on like other opportunities for the business. And, maybe we'll talk about it later. I mean, it ties into, it's like an actual opportunity for the business. But one thing we started creating was like an additional service that complements the service that we are currently providing, right? And so we've validated that offer with the audience and people love it, but we've just not actually rolled it out. So that's something I was working on, but we just held off for now so we can just kind of focus on a main part of the business while we're running these pending promotions.
That's exciting. And yeah, I can imagine how you must have felt when you fully handed off your initial work over to the managers. Just maybe a bit of discomfort at first, but then I'm sure you felt much better after that once you realized that everything was okay.
Absolutely.
So you actually get to my next question, which was about opportunities. So yeah, let's talk about that. If you were to keep the business, what are some ways you would try to grow it?
Got you. So number one, just partner with more brands, because that's what's working for us. And when I say brand, what I really mean is influencers within this industry. So we go to blogging influencers, and I won't dive too deep into that, but it's all outlined. We have the processes for this, and how we kind of conduct these. Like literally you can hand it to a virtual assistant and they can carry out this task, right? So we just find these bloggers in this industry that we know are well trusted and they have decent traffic numbers, and we just purchase advertising from them. And that's worked a lot better for us than, for example, paid like media buying, Facebook ads and Google ads, etc. So we've had exceptional success with that. So one, we will just continue partnering with more brands, and so that's to drive revenue. Right. And the other thing is, we'll start a blog, right? Because we've got, not amazing, but like we've got a pretty good authority, domain at this point, kind of, for the search term of our company, we've got the full page. And, I feel like once we start publishing content now, since we're already getting, all right, organic traffic, considering that we've never published any content, it could do pretty well, right? So that's something I was exploring, just didn't get started on yet because we're getting enough business through other means. But a blog is a lot more than just generating revenue, brand awareness, authority adds more value to the business, actually. And so there's a lot of benefits to that. Another is from outreach. We do outreach to attract like high-end clients. So LinkedIn and cold mailing, that's a fantastic thing a lot of the competition do in this business, and they're able to secure much higher paying and longer term kind of contracts. So, that's something we definitely explore. That's a huge opportunity for the business. And another, just simply emailing the customers that we currently have with more regularly, add more value to them and ultimately sell more, because currently we mail the customers maybe once a week, sometimes twice, if we're running a promotion. We don't mail them often enough. And if you're providing enough value, for example, if you started a blog, then you have content to reach them with through email and keep them more engaged and ultimately, like I said, sell more. All right. So finally, I would say, launch additional services that complement this, because there's many different services that actually complement the content writing. Okay. And so a lot of our competitors are doing this. I mean, they're not exactly directly our competitors, because they're more got a slightly different business model in that they include all these things, so they kind of branch out of just the one service that we're in. But at the same time, they're very easy to tap into, and you don't necessarily have to create these services. You can just publish or work with somebody else and kind of partner with another brand, all right, and get their offer out to your audience. So that's something there's a huge opportunity for in this business. And yeah, I think that's about it. Naturally, over time, there's a basic growth hacks as simply increasing your prices or reducing the offers, and maybe promoting subscription offers if you really want to increase that monthly recurring. So yeah, these are the kinds of opportunities. And I suppose there's a lot more like actually getting into media buying, right? Because we didn't do well with that, but many people are crushing it, Facebook ads, Google ads, and that's the kind of, once you work that out, it's a reliable and sustainable way of growing and scaling the business.
Yeah, it sounds like there are certainly a lot of growth opportunities here, and some that, based on what you said with media buying versus partnerships or sponsored posts, some worked better than others. So yeah, any interested buyers, probably best to have a conversation with them about what specifically worked best and what could work well if done right. Like, I know media buying it can work really well or not as well, but the potential exists regardless of if you're selling a physical product or a service. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, of course, with opportunity comes risk with any business model. So what do you think are the biggest risks with this business that a buyer should be aware of?
Sure. So what I'd say, since we started getting organic traffic, and let's say you explore the blog opportunity, which every brand, to be honest, is vital to have, but we were just so caught up with all the customers and the fast growth that we didn't actually get around to launching this blog. And so if you do go down that route, you have the potential issue of the Google algorithm changing, and that can cause your traffic to fluctuate. But the good thing, of course, to counter that is currently we don't depend on that to get our business. And furthermore, the approach we use to acquire customers is also very sustainable. So that shouldn't be the greatest of problems. So then what that leads me to another problem is, I guess, is the customer service side of things, right? Since it's a service-based business, we really pride ourselves in delivering good service. So it's very important, you kind of stay on top of, customer requests and stay on top of, customer relationship management, etc. And of course, we have people in place to handle all of this, but at the same time, there's some kind of governing, I suppose, involved in terms of that. We still check in with our managers on, like, currently I check in just like once a week. I don't really check in. They just send me an email, a report, which they'll continue to do. They just send a report of everything that's taken place in the week. I'll just drop them back a response to check in, if they might have some customers they weren't able to handle, then we just provide some insights on, like I'll just provide them with some insights on how to handle that, respond to it, right? And so that's very important, because sometimes if you don't stay on top of it, it's not as if, like, the customer, they might just be upset simply because you didn't update them, right? It's not as if you delivered a bad service or, they've seen something wrong. They just, by simply not communicating with them, you can have issues. And naturally so, they're spending a lot of money and they're hoping to work with, premium service provider. So it's important that, you stay on top of customers.
Yeah, that's definitely important for service-based businesses. So I think anybody who comes from that industry, even if it's not in the online space, they're very familiar with the importance of customer support. So yeah, any buyers listening to this who even maybe don't necessarily come with experience in the online field, even with maybe have customer support experience, that sounds like something that they could really do a lot of good things for this business if they came in and maybe improve that further.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if may add, like, right now we have a very good, flow for customer service. Like I said, from onboarding to fulfillment till the completion of the job, it's all kind of handled by our team. And, we've got processes in place for this, right? And we've employed even more managers to follow these processes, instead of us having depending on two, because sometimes the people, they might have to go do some studies or they might have to take some time off. And so because we can't have any downtime, what we've done is just added more managers to the team, put them on hourly rates, and we put them on hourly rates and be able to, just work on days when other managers are not available. So, it's pretty reliable setup that we have right now.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear that you have a system set up for this to address those points.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, a few final housekeeping questions to wrap this up. How much support are you willing to offer a new buyer?
Right now, like as you may see on the listing, I am willing to offer 60 days support by phone and email. Phone includes even hopping on, video calls, Zoom. Of course, this would maybe we'd work out a schedule, or we can meet up, at a certain time, whatever works best. But that's all kind of more advice and consulting support. And maybe, if someone's interested in working hands-on and, they would like me to continue helping them run the business or grow the business, then, that's something I'm willing to explore as well.
Okay, got it. So, yeah, offering even a little bit more than that 30-day default support to help with the transition, but sounds like you're also open to some consulting services if a buyer would like to hire you for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And just confirming, do you commit to a non-compete after this business is sold?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And are you open to something like an earnout?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, of course, I prefer if we just sell this company, 100% upfront. But at the same time, I'm more than willing to discuss any opportunities or ideas people may have in mind.
Okay, great. And putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Right. I mean, since I've been running this business, I may sound a little biased, but, I really just think there's just a lot of growth opportunities. And, the competitors of ours that I regularly follow, I can see how fast, they are growing. And, the good thing about this business is it can be a lot more than just, like a service provider, right? It can actually be, you can also be a publisher. You can be putting out content. And I look at some of our competitor sites and they're running their own blogs and, have huge value alone, never mind their service business, just, the blogs. So I feel like with opportunities like these, huge growth opportunity, it's a great place. I mean, something I look at, what I've realized after running this business all this time, is what really stands out to me is like when there's a good working environment, right? And I see all of our employees and staff, they really love working here. And, we've had people working with us literally since we started, so many of them. And that, when I look at it, to me, is just a very good sign. And then to add with that, all the growth opportunities, you've got a team that's willing to grow with you, adapt to you. I don't know, it just seems like a good deal.
Yeah, I love hearing that about the team. Yeah, certainly seems like the business is in a good position right now and has a lot of opportunity for growth for the right buyer. Okay. Well, last question. Is there anything you'd like to add that you think I might have missed during the interview?
No, I think everything's explained. I mean, I was thinking we would discuss maybe our spikes in revenues, but I suppose we addressed that actually when talking about the risks and kind of, I mean, more like the what worked and what didn't work, right? And that's it, that kind of explains two reasons. I'll just quickly address it if you don't mind,
Sure.
because I know it's a question and it makes sense. I was looking at our, I was thinking that's a bit strange, but then it all made sense, right? And we had spikes in our revenue for, at the time, the main reason was because we couldn't take on more business, right? So many months, like not many months, but when you look at it, you'll find a few months disregarding like January, February, March, all right? Because that's when we just started the business, we just started pushing out the office. So I wouldn't consider them exactly spikes. Like February 21, we have a very small team at this point, so we've not sold much content, and so kind of from that point on things were going positive. And then after May, like I said, we ran this huge promotion April, May 21. Then we had to stop accepting orders June, July. I mean, except very minimal, right? We just had orders trickling in, but we shut down most of our checkout pages. And then at the end of the month, we just put on a thing like pre-orders, right? We just said, hey, you can order content for the next month. And then once you can see August 21 crushes to Toad as well. And then, literally all the way till the end of the year, we just had a great, we just closed well. And so when you see these certain spikes, you'll see like in December, then we had to take a little less revenue because naturally we've got so many customers we're working with now. And of course, like I said, humans providing the service and our team's not grown fast enough to cater to the demand. So that's why, you kind of may see these spikes. But that's it, really. I suppose that's the biggest problem. Like I said, I addressed in the first 6 months how, we're just still kind of fine-tuning our service, really focusing on then building the team. And that period, we had a number of refunds. but we were able to, like I said, if you look at the numbers now, that's drastically, changed. We don't really tend to have any refunds. So yeah, that's it. I hope that adds a little value and makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that back up. And I think for anybody who's listening to this that unlocks the business, yes, you can look through the P&L and the details of the business. And of course, you can schedule a call with Abdullah to discuss these different spikes. And to your point as well, yeah, towards now that we're in 2022, in these later months, it seems like these fluctuations are evening out. But yes, I think it's definitely worth having a conversation about anything in the past and then kind of what's to come for this business moving forward.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's the perfect place to wrap this up here. So, Abdullah, thank you so much for sharing your story and joining us on today's episode. And yeah, I hope your business is purchased in the near future and by the right buyer.
Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 62149. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. And once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.